by the house.
It's back to school time. It's back to school time. It's back to school time. I be cutting them lines. I be cutting them lines. I be cutting them lines.
It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line.
It's back to school time. It's back to school time. It's back to school time.
My mom doing braids, cut and fade. She's the best. Stop by the house, put her to the test. 901-417-9474.
I be cutting them lines. I be cutting them lines.
It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. It's back to school time. Just hit my mama line. Mom doing braids, cut and fade. She's the best. Come by the house. Mom doing braids, cut and fade. She's the best. Come by the house. Mom doing braids, cut and fade. She's the best. Come by the house. Mom doing braids, cut and fade. She's the best. Come by the house.
It's back to school time. 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 It's back to school